Alright, I said we're going to go over the test questions, so that's what we're going to do. So number one, average number of hours Mary works a day. So to find average number, we need to add all the numbers together and then divide by how many numbers there are. So we'll start with the adding. We've got mixed numbers here, so let's just go ahead, let's just look at the whole number part. So if we add these up, we'd have 2 plus 3 plus 2 more plus 4 plus 3, and that is 14 hours. And then we can take the fraction part, and we don't have a common denominator, but we can find one. And looking at our answers, it looks like it's probably going to be 4. So we can say 1/2 is equal to 2/4. 1/2 is still equal to 2/4. This one won't change. And 1/2 again is 2/4. Now if we have a common denominator, we can just go ahead and add the numerator, add the top number. So if I say 2 plus 2 plus 1 plus 2, that's 7. And it's still over 4. And that's the total of the fractional part of each day. So we have to combine these two, but I need to stop this from being an improper fraction, so we need to turn it back into a mixed number. So we can divide this out. 7 divided by 4. 4 goes into 7 one time. So that's going to be the whole number part of this. It's going to be 1 and something. So we finish dividing. 1 times 4 is 4. We subtract, we get 3. Now we want to leave it as a fraction, so I'm not going to add a decimal point. I'm going to say this is 3 divided by 4. Well, as a fraction, that just looks like 3 over 4. Or you can think of it as saying 4 is still going to be our denominator, and whatever the remainder is the number that's going to go on top. Okay? So 7/4, that is the same as 1 3/4. So now to find our final answer, we just need to add our fractional part and our whole number part. So 14 plus 1 is 15, and we add on the 3/4. So the answer to that one was A. Okay, number 2. Circle has radius R and diameter D. Which of these could not be used to find circumference? Well, we had our chart, and we can look where it says circumference. There are two formulas we have. We have C equals 2 pi r, and we also have C equals pi d. And we're looking for one of these that does not match that. Well, a couple of these answers we can get rid of. We can get rid of F because that says 2 pi r. And we have answer H, which is pi d. So that can't be it either. So we're left with these two. So these don't match the formulas exactly, but we need to look at what they're trying to tell us. If we have radius plus the radius, well, what is a radius plus a radius? If we have a circle and we draw in the radius, it goes from the outside of the circle to the middle. So if we add another radius to that, we can say, well, it goes over here. So what is the radius and a radius? That makes the diameter. This whole distance across here is the diameter. So when we say radius plus radius, that's just another way of saying diameter, and diameter times pi, that's our formula right here. So this can't be the answer either. So that leaves radius times radius. Well, another way to say that would be radius squared, and then times, put the pi on the other side. And hopefully that'll look familiar. That's not the formula for circumference, that's the formula for area. And we don't want that formula, so our answer is J. Okay, 2 down. Alright, number three. Find, or Stephen drew a circle and a square. We want to calculate the sum. Remember, if we say sum, that means we need to add these two. And we're finding the area. So what is, if we add the two areas together, what will that give us? So it says use our chart to measure. So if we measured these, we would get all the way across here is about 4 centimeters. And on our square is 2 centimeters by 2 centimeters. So to find the sum of the areas, we would need to find each area on its own. So let's start with our circle here. Formula for area of a circle, which we talked about in the last problem, was pi r squared. And we can't quite fill in our numbers because we don't know the radius yet. We know diameter is 4 centimeters, and we talked about how the radius was half of that. So our radius would be, I'm going to use the same color here, radius would be 2 centimeters. So now we can substitute our numbers into our formula. So area equals, and to keep this simple, let's use 3 for pi. And we're going to see how we can use 3 for pi at the end. Our radius is 2. So now we can work this out. 2 squared is 4. 2 times 2. Bring down the rest. And we can say our area of our circle is about 12 centimeters squared. So I can put 12 in here. And now our square, pretty straightforward. To find area of a square is the same as area of a rectangle, which is length times width, or base times height. And that's just going to be 2 times 2, which we know is 4. So now we have these two areas. We have 12 centimeters. We have 4 centimeters. If we add those together, 12 plus 4 is 16. And we see we have an answer that's close to 16, but it's not exact. The reason it's not exactly 16 is because we rounded pi down to 3. So if we round to 3, we know that our actual answer is always going to be just a little bit bigger. So you could use 3.14 and it would get you closer to this, or just using our intuition, just thinking about it, we can see, well, this is real close. Nothing else really seems to fit for our answer, so this is probably going to be right. Okay. All right, number 4. This one always confuses some people, but really these are hopefully pretty easy. It says, we have a prism with square base and height of 3. Following graph shows the relationship between length and base of the volume. This part up here really doesn't matter all that much, because it's just saying, what is this graph showing us? So using that information, so just using the picture, which of the following is the best estimate for the length of a base of a prism whose volume is 60 cubic units? Well, let's look at our labels here. We've got length, we've got volume. Well, what we're looking for is if the volume is 60. So we look at this y-axis and we say, where is 60? It's right here. Anywhere on this line, volume would be 60. And now if we follow the path of this line, it's not really a straight line, it sort of curves. Yeah, there's a perfectly straight line right there. And now we say, what is the length where the volume is 60? So it's saying, where does our volume at 60, what's the word I want? Intersect. I couldn't think of the word intersect. Where does that intersect with our green line that goes with the data on the graph? Well, we see we've got this point right here, and we want to know what is the length at that point. So if we just bring this straight down, another perfectly straight line, we see it's somewhere between 4 and 5. So looking at our answers, we only have one answer is between 4 and 5. Okay? And that's all you had to do. Alright, number 5. This was messing up everybody because we're trying to think a little bit too hard about it. Number 5. The area of this triangle, graph below in square inches. It's got cut off a little bit. So if we say that each of these little boxes is 1 inch squared, one square inch, then how many of these little squares would it take to fill in here? And a lot of people, they sat and they tried to count all the little squares in here. But another thing you have to realize, if this area is 1 square inch, what is the length of the side? For a square to have an area of 1, what times what will give you 1? The only thing that works there is the number 1, which means the length of all these squares is literally just 1. So we could count all these, or we could think, well, I have a formula that tells me the area of a triangle. It's 1/2 base times the height. And we can measure it. We can measure the base and height of this triangle. If I go from top to bottom, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I can say the height of my triangle is 13. And now this makes a right angle with this side on the bottom, so we can call that the base. So this base goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So we have a base on this triangle of 17 inches. Then we bring down the 1/2. And then this just becomes a multiplication problem. What's half of 17 times 13? So let's work that out. So if we have 17 times 13, that's 221. And now we can divide that 2, or we can say, what is that number times 0.5? And we get 100, we get 110.5 inches squared. And that's your answer. That's all there was to it. And we can grid this in. Here's our decimal place. We have 1 decimal place behind it. And then we have 3 numbers in front of it, so it would just look like 110. You can leave these spots blank, or you can fill them with zeros. Probably be better if you just left them blank. And before we move on, in case you're wondering what happened there, if we take 221, if we multiply it by 0.5, that is exactly the same result that we get if we divided it by 2. So when you get to this point, you can either multiply, you can literally do what it says, multiply by 1/2, or you can divide by 2. Either way, you get the same answer. Okay. Number 6. Small fish aquarium, 3 feet wide, 2 feet wide, 1.5 feet high. I filled it Half full of water. Which equation can be used to find the volume of the aquarium? Well, we can start by looking at formula for volume. Volume in 7th grade is always the area of the base times the height. Since our aquarium is assumed to be a rectangle, it doesn't say exactly, but let's say it's a rectangle. So we can say that's length times width, and then bring down the height. We can substitute in our numbers. It says it is 3 feet long, it is 2 feet wide, and it is 1.5 feet high. So that would be the volume of the entire tank. But what's important here is it says it's only filled half full. So if you had your fish tank here, okay, here's your tank. It's got some plants in it. And a fish. Oops. If that's our aquarium, we need, or what we figured out here, this 3 times 2 times 1.5, that'll give you the volume of everything here. But we don't want that. We want the volume of the water, and the water only goes halfway up the tank. Sorry, fish, you're out of the water. So what does this affect? The length and width are still the same, but our height is not. We don't want the entire height, we just want what's down here. So we need half of our height. So how do we take half of a number? Well, we said we could either multiply by 0.5, but that doesn't appear to be in any of our answer choices, so we can divide it by 2. So that everything else stays the same. So to find our volume, we would just need to work this out. We don't actually have to, because all it wants is this equation, and our equation we wrote here matches up almost exactly with answer J. Okay. To anyone who worked this out correctly and then at the end they said divided by 1/2, you just it's just something you're going to have to get over, in that dividing by 1/2. Let's take a look. Let's go back to our triangle example. Remember we said it was 221, and we took half of that, we got 110.5. But let's take a look. Let's see what happens if we were to divide that by 1/2. Oops, wait, hold on, I need parentheses for this. Okay, redo. Alright, 221 divided by 1/2. So we close the parentheses, and really what this is saying is it's what's 221 divided by 0.5. And what happens when we divide 221 by 0.5? You get 442. When you divide by a decimal, you're always going to get a bigger number. That doesn't really make sense for the problem that we're doing. We wouldn't want to get a bigger number than the volume of the whole tank. So dividing by 1/2 does not work in this case. Okay? Okay. Alright, 2 more. Alright, this one. John's painting sections of a circle. Diameter is 6. What is the area that he painted red? So this one's interesting. We want to find the area of the circle, but we really only care about this red part. So I don't have a formula to find area of a quarter circle, so let's just find the area of the whole circle. So I know this diameter is 6, which means that our radius, which is half of that, would have to be what? It's 3. I don't know who I was waiting to answer them, because nobody's here.
3.
Oh, now she answers. It is 3, thank you. You're so helpful. So we have area of a circle, still pi r squared. We substitute our numbers. Again, I want to try to keep this simple. So let's just try it with pi equaling 3. And then our radius is 3 as well. Oops. Oh no. 3 times 3 squared. 3 squared, 3 times 3 is 9.
Times 3 is 27.
9 times 3 is 27. So the area of our whole circle is 27, what is that, inches? Inches squared. So now how can we find just the red part?
Wait, is that like each of the boxes are 27 inches?
No, the whole circle is 27 inches.
Divided by 4?
Why would you divide it by 4?
Because there's four little sections, and if the whole thing's 27, each would be a quarter. Should be 4, right?
There you go. Couldn't have said it better myself. We only want the red part. The red part is 1/4 of it. So we say, what is 27 divided by 4? Also, it's Caitlin's birthday tomorrow. So everyone say happy birthday to her. Okay? Alright, 4 goes into 27 6 times. 6 times 4 is 24. If you subtract, we get 3. This time we're looking at decimals, so we can add a decimal, and a 0. 4 goes into 30, what's that, 7 times. 28. Can subtract again. We can add another 0. And 4 goes into 20 5 times. So we say the area of our red piece should be about 6.75 inches. And if you look at your answer, say, well, that doesn't match any of the answers. Then you gotta think, that's because we cheated a little bit. We used 3 instead of 3.14. So since we write it down, this number is going to be a little bit smaller than our actual answer, so we really need something just a little bit bigger than that.
Like 7.
Like 7, or even better, 7.07. Okay, so far so good. Alright, last one. I don't want to say most everyone, a lot of people got this one right. I was pretty happy about that. This is just order of operations.
Please excuse my dear Aunt Salad.
Yes, please excuse your dear Aunt Salad. Okay, no parentheses. We do have some exponents. 4 squared is 16. We don't be lazy, so we bring everything else down. Plus 2 times 3 plus 16. There's no more exponents, so we go to multiplying and dividing. We've got a bunch of that, so we go left to right. 35 divided by 5 is
7.
7. Again, we bring down the rest.
2 times 3 is 6.
Hold on. She is right. 2 times 3 is indeed 6. There's no more multiplication or division left. All we have is adding, so we just go left to right. 7 plus 6 is
13.
13. Plus 16 is
that's 29.
29. So what is the value of this expression? The value of that expression is 29. That's all we've got for today. Remember to bring this back in with the correct answers Monday, and you get some extra credit.
Yay!
And let's see if we don't have something to send you off with. There is a couple of messed up rabbits for you to enjoy your Sunday with.
Oh, look, you still have time left over.
Yeah, I would have time left over if I wasn't trying to make it in 15 minutes. Oh well. So sad.